Hi, good evening, everyone. How you guys are doing tonight? Thanks for being here, wherever you're watching us from this morning, evening. It's a joy to have you guys here. Special day, special Monday. Moving into, well, we're already in the fourth quarter. So we're thinking about so many different things. Karen could not be here tonight. She has another engagement, but I'm here. And we have an amazing guest, Dr. Marcia, who is here too, which we're going to be talking about so many great stuff tonight, starting with self-care and how do we go about that. She's going to talk to us about leadership and all that good stuff. So grab your notepad, take notes because it's very important tonight. Because what she's going to share with you is very inspiring, it's educational, and it's also motivational as well. Sit back, relax. How are you doing tonight? Are you focusing on self-care? Is that part of your thing that you really hone in? Are you able to continue doing your journaling? How do you talk to yourself in the mirror when you get up every day and focusing on who you are? Are you reminding yourself that you are special? Are you reminding yourself that you are good enough? Are you reminding yourself that you are unique? You're worthy because you are. Because how we talk to ourselves really, really matters. It helps us to function in our life on a daily basis. Are you celebrating wins? Are you showing yourself love and compassion? Because sometimes with life, there's so many challenges. We got to just pour that love on ourselves, show ourselves the love and compassion, and also setting our intentions is so important. And when we set our intentions, we want to set it with a level of clarity. It must be clear as crystal, be very definitive. And then after we set our intentions, we got to move with a level of confidence because we're self assured, because we're repositioning ourselves for new things to come. What are we not letting go of? What are we holding? Because when we let things go that does not serve us well, we give a chance for new things to come. We reposition ourselves in a space lots more beauty what life has to offer. Are you nourishing yourself? Because this one body we have, this one vehicle that we travel through life with, and taking good care of ourselves is so important. And not only the food on our plate is important, yes, it is essential because we have to nourish ourselves to stay healthy. But there is another aspect of life. How are we taking care of our relationships? The relationship with ourselves and others. How are we doing that? Are we removing clutter, decluttering our lives inside and out to help us to navigate through life much easily? How are we showing up? When we walk into a room, are we showing up our all, our greatness, our excellence? What do we leave when we leave a room after the discussion, a workshop, masterclass, whatever? What we showing up with? And what are some of the great takeaways that we leave there that someone after they leave the room, they can say, you know what? That was good. I was well served. And I can take that with me and put that part, set that in my life that can help me and guide me on my journey. How are we able to do that? Are we able to create that impact? People must feel that when they join you, when you have a conversation with them. They must feel that impact. And the one that is good, because that's how we nourish each other. Are we able to say the level of gratitude to others, the people in our lives that are so meaningful? I remember to say thank you. Thank you for what you've done. I love you. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for holding me up when there are moments I did not even believe in myself. Thank you. We got to remember to say that. It's beautiful. Send them a card, send them an email, a text message, just make a phone call, just to remind them I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that you are in my life and you're helping me on my journey. It's beautiful when we can do that and have the level of experience because people always remember how you make them feel. It's lasting. My name is Joan Williams, Holistic Health and Wellness Coach. And Karen and myself, we both co-authored 2 ebooks, Your Gut in You and Self-Care is Intentional. And our magazines, we're so happy to get great reviews from you all. Making fun stuff, your recipes that you're making. Continue to share with us because life is about fun. Yeah, we got to be serious, yes, but about life. But then there is moments that we need to just have a little bit of fun, practice our creativity, and have pockets of joy because it's life. So thank you all. Thank you for joining us tonight. Those who are watching on live and those who are going to be watching on the replay. Thank you for being there. I'm Joan Williams, and Karen will be here next Friday, where we'll talk more about great topics. Because what we do in Soul, Light, and Body is try to have great guests that bring so much of value to share. So continue to join us and share us out with your friends. It's always enjoyable. Tonight we have our great doctor, Dr. Marcy, and she's here to give us so much gem. How we can live our lives, how we can level up, how we can bring our excellence out, and how we can make that impact in life. So, Dr. Marcy, welcome. Thanks for being here. I guess she's. Can you hear me?
Good night, everyone. It's good
Thanks.
to be here and sharing with Karen and Joanne. I am pleased. I am hearing you. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you clearly. Yes.
Good. I'm saying good night to everyone, and I want to say how pleased I am to be here sharing in this program. I think it is something that is giving us a lot of hope and a lot of encouragement. It's empowering. And I think that we really learn when we collaborate and when we share our ideas, our beliefs, and our core values to change ourselves and to change others. So
Yes.
tonight I want to share on a topic that seems to be extinct, it's getting extinct among leaders. Many persons are not taking care of themselves when they're leaders. They are more focused on the organization, meeting the goals, meeting the targets, getting excellent reviews and evaluations on their performance scale rather than caring for themselves. And there is a lot of neglect that goes on in that department. As a leader myself, I can attest to that. And so I tend to want to focus on that tonight in my slides. And so as I present, so that there's a graphic and mental and visual understanding of what I'm saying, I hope that we can prepare our questions or we can take our notes so that we can receive powerfully from this. All right, as I share my slide, I just want to move to my slide. Can I get the slide up from your end?
Tom?
Thank
There we go.
you. And there we go. It's called Leading with Self-Care. And on
Beautiful.
that screen, we see a nice picture which would suggest, and a picture they say speak 1,000 words. So it would suggest that I'm leading with self-care. But as I go through, let us see clearly, if looks are very deceiving. So we want to say I am a certified strategic life coach and Christian leadership coach and trainer and consultant. I am also an instructional leader, and I am very active in my church as a church elder. I am a published author also, and I recently founded the Purposefully Commissioned, which is a retreat that I intend for Christians in a professional space who need to harness their superpowers as leaders and strive in their professional space. I am also an adjunct professor. My hobbies are singing and writing and praying and eating whole foods and socializing with friends. So that is a little about me. Today, we want to talk about what is self-care. We want to look at the reasons and benefits of self-care and the misconceptions that often prevent us from caring ourselves and the steps to lead with self-care. Now, I speak from a pillar of my Christian belief. I believe that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We do not make ourselves. And there is someone or some entity that is greater than us that forms and fashions us. And that entity for me personally is God. Now, God says self-care is important to me. In fact, he's a fan of self-care. How do I know? He says, I wish above all that while you are prospering, you are in good health. And so he requires us to conduct self-care, to be very engaged in caring ourselves. Because in caring ourselves, we honor him by being our best self, by showing up unapologetically with the right mindset and with the right strategies and in the right way. And he says, for that reason, I want to support you because self-care is so important to me. I want to support you. So I know the plans I have for you. And that plan is really to just prosper you and to not to harm you at all, but to give you a hope and a future. And so he says, I put before you life and death. And he prods us and he beckons to us and he impels us and he says, choose life. What is life for me? It is self-care. What does self-care mean for you? Now, self-care in general is a broad terminology that refers to one's ability to practice, to look after him or herself physically, emotionally, financially, mentally, and physically and spiritually. Now, leading with self-care is an essential approach to leadership that I personally feel involves prioritizing your own well-being and practicing to be a more effective and compassionate person and leader, because the voice within always wins. Now, the question that we may want to ask ourselves is, am I dying silently? If it is that you have any leadership delusions that I'm going to mention at this time, then it means that your answer would be leaning more to yes. So how do I know if I'm dying silently? I feel that as a leader, too much depends on me. And so I am too busy to have lunch. I say I just need 15 minutes sleep and I'm good to go for another 24 hours. I find that I miss my doctor's appointments and also my dentist appointments just to meet deadlines. And my family, in my mind, is put behind on the second burner because I say my family understands when I miss important events. That is, miss quality time with them because they know it's for the greater good. It is investing today, so tomorrow we can just relax. And then we also say, after all is said and done, I will take that well-deserved vacation. If you answer any of these or identify with more than 3 of these, you are dying silently and you need to do something about it. The next thing is the reality check is that your self-care is for your own immunity. By taking care of yourself as a leader, you set a real and living example for your team and create a healthier work environment. After all, we lead by example. And so, if my staff members are able to trust me and I'm able to make wise, practical, sensible decisions because I am in my right mind and I do not have an overwhelmed brain because of a lack of self care, I am in tune with my body. I do not have an irritating stomach because I keep missing my meals and going on a voluntary fast that I really need to break. If I'm able to do that, then of course my team would be much healthier and my work environment would be less tense. Because when I do not care myself, then my environment is always tense. All right, I need to move my next slide. My screen seems to be being frozen. Can you move it for me, Tommy? All right, so I need to get my screen going. It's not moving from my side. I seem to have frozen.
Okay. Tommy? I like where this conversation is going because you're helping us to understand that it started with us.
All right, are you good? So
Yeah.
I have moved on. Good. So there are, let me go back to where I want to go. Good. I want to take us now to our misconceptions about self-care. And these are the misconceptions that prevent us from administering self-care. And we may ask ourselves, what's up with all that self-care? And that is why I don't do it, because it prevents me from getting ahead. And part of that misconception is that there is a glorification of constant work and the idea that we must always be busy to succeed. We must always be doing something. If I'm not doing something, then I'm likely not to be successful. And then there's the productivity pressure that makes us believe that the more productive we are, it's the greater value we have. We have more worth when we are productive. And then there is a social comparison that make us compare ourselves to what other persons are doing, especially if they appear successful and wanting to be like them or live like them. And then we feel that we only have significance if we are very busy. But Ecclesiastes 4 verse 6 says to us, better is a handful of quietness than 2 hands full of toil and striving after wind. What does that mean? It means if I do not get enough rest, if I do not nourish my body, if I do not make a holistic effort to be my best self right across the board, then I'm really pushing after wind. And that is why so many pharmacies and the medical industry make so much money off persons, because they are so busy trying to meet these deadlines, trying to stand up with the standards of the world, to keep pace with what they desire or who they want to emulate, that they do not realize that they're dying slowly. So here, what the important facts about self-care are. Why do you really need self-care? There is a time for everything. And if it is imbalance, if your imbalance is that you work more than you nourish and that you intake less or more than you activate, then you're having a problem. You yourself will be out of whack. So leadership can be a hard and ungrateful taskmaster. That is the first fact. The next thing is self-care is not a necessity. It is a necessity. It's not a luxury. It's not supposed to be optional. It is to be at the top of your priority list. The next thing is you are your greatest asset. And so self-care is accepting and appreciating yourself for who you are and showing up just as you are. You can adjust and adapt and be very flexible in changing yourself, but you must change yourself because you must, if only if you aspire to do better and you have gotten knowledge that will enable you to be a greater version. So you'll start from good, you get better, and you are changing to be best. The next thing is you will really never know the importance of self-care until you're chronically ill. At that time, you wish for what could have been because you did not give yourself the preparation to be in good health and to choose life, because we started out like that. Self-care also is very different for different people, but believe it or not, it is viewed the same way by God. He says you are to take care of your vessel that you have, because it is the temple, his temple, and it is your resting place. The fact is, you cannot walk away and leave your body. That is where you live. That is where you will always live. And so you must care your body, because your body is made up of both your mind and your internal and your external self. These are parts of you that are your constant companion. You will have to take them anywhere you go, whether you are sick or you're whole. And so you need to know the steps for self-care. And one of the most important for me is loving yourself, knowing yourself, and trusting yourself. And when I say trusting yourself, you must trust yourself enough to want to be friends with yourself, to want to have an intimate relationship with yourself. And you start this relationship, in my mind, and based on the paradigm that I have set, with knowing Jesus. Christians in leadership, especially because I'm a Christian leadership coach, must practice self-care by starting with a great knowledge of Jesus. Why is that? He says you are bought with a price and you must glorify him in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. And this basis for me is the greatest start and the first pillar on which we are to rest self-care, because we must be able to know the person who knows us best and who created us and accepted us. And we must depend on him for direction, because knowing him is the key to understanding what I need to do for proper self-care. Because Jesus is the person that gives us our assignment.
I think you're frozen a little bit.
In that parameter, then self-care is about stewardship. Leading with self-care is good stewardship. How is that? Our minds, our bodies, our hearts are all blessings and gifts from God. They are not hindrances and they are not additions. They are blessings. When you think of traditional self-care, what normally comes to mind is to take care of your physical body, but you need to also take care of yourself and treat yourself as a gift and treat yourself as your greatest wealth. So your health and you is your wealth. So we should consider our health, the health of our minds, our bodies, and our souls as a way to be a good steward, so that we say to God, I appreciate my hands that you have given to me. I appreciate my eyes. I appreciate my ears. I appreciate all the senses. And that way, I am saying to him, it is easier for me now to work towards the goal of maintaining my well-being, because I understand that I am not a mistake. I am a gift. And as a gift, I am my greatest asset, and I am a blessing to others, but I must first lead myself. And so walking in your purpose is another way to self-care. And the Lord has made everything for its purpose. He says, even the wicked for the day of trouble. When you know your purpose, because you know God, you press into him to find out what his plans are for you, and you begin to experience clarity of mind and joy and fulfillment that can only be explained because you are amplified. Amplified meaning that you are understanding yourself, your mission, you are aligning your core values to your actions and your assignments, and you are serving others. And that is it. When you burn out yourself because you have not poured yourself into your calling, because you are pouring into someone else's calling because you don't know, you will not last, because you were never called to that. You were called to a particular purpose. And burnout usually comes when you are investing in the wrong things because of a lack of clarity and direction and purpose. So we now want to walk in our purpose, meaning that we lean into our assignments. That means we set boundaries. We do not overwork ourselves. We set aside time for relaxation, for engaging in our hobbies, and for spending quality time with loved ones. Laughter is great medicine. And when we are among those who love and appreciate us, then that itself is a great motivator of good health. Then the next thing is we must learn to say no. If you're walking in your purpose, then you will assess your commitments and you will not overload yourself, because you are intentional in how you go about doing your things, your tasks and your responsibilities. And you politely decline additional work if it will compromise your health and your well-being, if it will irritate you, if it will disturb you, then you need to say no. We were never born to be disturbed. We were born to be persons of joy, to dutifully carry out and joyfully carry out and pleasantly carry out all that we find to do as it relates to our purpose, with all our might, with all our hearts, and with all our soul. After we work, we are expected to rest. Then you engage in regular self-reflection. That will gauge us, and that will give us an idea of when we are to go and when we are to pause, when we are ready to change our plan of action, because we are able to assess our challenges and we are able to make the adjustments for improvement. And we are able to also adjust our leadership style so that we are consciously and intentionally, but firmly doing what is best for us and for those whom we serve. Because self-care is not just about us. We will also lead with a priority mindset. What does that mean? That I will manage my time effectively. And in managing my time effectively, I know that I was born to do anything, but I cannot do everything because I am one person. And so I delegate properly and intentionally, because if I misdelegate, if I give someone a task that they are not prepared for, or if they don't want, I am not leading with self-care. Because as I said before, self-care means that I'm responsible for myself, and I'm obligated to guide others, encourage others to manage themselves, their emotions, and also their needs, so that they can avoid taking up what they cannot manage and multitask unnecessarily, where they are always busy being busy and not being productive. Then we want to prioritize also our physical health. We want to engage in an exercise program. We want to walk. We want to engage in having nutritious food. We want to stay hydrated. We want to get enough sleep. And we want to be able to be secure, feel safe and secure. And then if we are having an issue with self-care, if we're having an issue managing our time, if we're having an issue with physical health, then we need to surround ourselves with a supportive community. And that community must make us feel vulnerable, but we must also be valuable. And those can include our colleagues, our family members, and those who are close to us. And then we want to become self-aware, meaning that we use sober judgment and we recognize and appreciate the gifts that God has given to us. In that way, we are now able to make better choices and we are able to understand our motivations, and we are now committed to develop healthier relationship with ourselves and others. So what are the different types of self-awareness? When you are self-aware, you can see where your thoughts and emotions are guiding you internally. So that is being aware of your own thoughts, your emotions, your values, and understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, and so on. Then the external self-awareness now is being aware of how other people perceive you. It also involves understanding how your behavior or you impact others, how your personality triggers someone else, and how their personality triggers you, and being very receptive to that type of feedback. Then there is behavioral self-awareness that focuses you on recognizing and understanding your own behaviors and actions in relation to what you practice, which are your habitual thoughts, your habitual patterns, your routine that you have established, and the things that trigger influence your behavior in those settings. How genes affect you, how your personality traits affect you, how they cause you to respond to stimuli, and how these responses are interpreted and guided and used by you for you to nourish yourself. And then there's the relational self-awareness that gives you an opportunity to understand your communication style, your emotional reactions, and how these contribute to the dynamics of your different relationships, your intimate relationships, your social relationships, your professional relationships, and so on. So once we understand that, we
Yeah, you're frozen. Well, that is
so
a
it
whole.
says that we are to serve wholeheartedly as if we were serving the Lord and not people. And so we were created for a purpose as was established. And that would make the lives of others different. Whatever purpose we are born on this earth to fulfill, it's not to serve us, it's really to serve others. And so service is the rent that we now pay for the time that we are spending on earth. It means, therefore, that we, as we give service, it must be deliberate. And to give quality service, we must take time to reflect, to rebuild, to recuperate, and to rearm ourselves so we are able to act justly towards ourselves and to others. We must have mercy on ourselves, is really what we are saying. And then your personality trait is an important aspect of self-care. Why is that? Your personality can work against you or for you. If you're a builder, for example, these traits are often associated with persons who are stable, very structured, and very organized. They are very methodical, and detail oriented, and they tend to find value in consistency and reliability. And so they lead in this way, in this context. So they constantly strive for high quality work and attention and pay keen attention to details. And so they excel in roles that require careful execution and follow through. The danger with the builder is that the builder has to complete the assignment and has a problem with what they call rest.
Yes, we're sorry about our
That
connection.
they are not able to rest. And that is the problem with the builder. If your personality trait is a fixer, it suggests that you are very skilled at problem solving. You are able to troubleshoot and you adjust challenges when they arise. And in your leadership role, you really exhibit very strong analytical and critical thinking abilities.
Yeah, there's a little problem with our signal there. But it's just a great overview of really about self care and digging real deep into what self care really is, because it's addressing self care in its all. It's in its entirety, mind, body, and soul. And that's just most of the, like in our when we coach in our 12 components, addressing how we nourish ourselves, how we take care of ourselves, because it's just not focusing on one, it's just moving in a level of alignment. Because until all those parts are being nourished, then we're not able to show up as our true self and function at a level of capacity that we would like to be and walk in our greatness. And as Dr. Marcy said, how do we stop and pause and take time for ourselves in whatever roles we're playing? And it's great that she's able to bring part of the scriptures into this and get in a biblical form and a level of spirituality, that how we can walk in our purpose, but to walk in our purpose and address everything in life, we've got to take some time for ourselves. We got to pause. We got to reflect. We got to go in. Can you hear us, Dr. Marcy?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Go right ahead.
I'm just trying to upload my back my
Oh,
presentation.
great presentation. Amazing. Truly amazing, because you give us a lot of food for thought when we start to think about self care and what it really entails. You dive real deep into everything, how we should focus on every aspect of our lives when we, whether you're a leader, whoever we are. I know your specialty is leadership, but as each individual, whoever we are. And I like how you spoke about sometimes we just have to delegate, because sometimes we think we can do it all. We can try to do every single thing, but sometimes we got to delegate. We have to let other people take care of things, and we know who can function at that level. We can
Yes,
delegate that to them to function and help to bring whatever project we're working on and bring everything together. And talking about essential, taking time for ourselves so that we can continue to have our cup fill, and then we can. And I like how you talk about serving, because serving is a price we pay to live in this universe. Because it's not only for ourselves, but it's helping to serve others and serve others well, that they can also live their true purpose and walk in their purpose, live intentionally.
very much so. And we want to continue with the personality trait. We were saying that you are either a builder, a fixer, or a breaker or maintainer. If you're a breaker, you are very innovative as a person and as a leader, and you're willing to challenge the status quo and be are very comfortable with disruption. You are not fazed by crisis or adversity. And in a leadership context, you are very comfortable taking calculated risks and you inspire and motivate others to explore new ideas. The thing about that is that your risk taking temperament can make you become stressed and can lead to health issues that are very related to stress, like stomach issues and so on. So you have to guard yourself as you look at risk taking. You have to balance it so that you are not stressed and always running on high. The maintainer does not like to shift things, does not like to disturb things. They like to preserve and optimize what exists, and they are not keen on making major changes. And in this leadership context, they tend to emphasize incremental improvements. They are leaders that tend to create a sense of security and tend to be very reliable too, because they don't change easily. They rarely have a fixed mindset, and they foster, but they are very good motivators in the sense that they foster a continuous improvement at your pace. And they in themselves are dangerous to self-care because they are mostly laissez-faire. And so there is not a balance. They give in and they make you go ahead. They make life easy for you at all times. And self-care, ironically, requires you to have a balance of challenges and of issues and situations. Your brain must be active. Your body must be active. You must be moving. You must be critical. You must be changing. You must be adaptable. You must be flexible. Self-care. All right. How do you delegate for self-care? You must trust your members, and you must be approachable as a leader. So you must be able to accept feedback.
I think that that's a great part, because when you say delegate to, that also speaks about it kind of people
We
you
are
surround
almost at the
yourself.
end. We have just a slide left. We want to understand self-care in summing up that we must choose right for ourselves, the best thing for us. And we must do it with dignity of choice. It must not be forced upon us. We must connect our reality to what is our real situation. We must understand that life is real and we live life as it is and not necessarily how we want it to be. And we cannot promise ourselves to take care of ourselves tomorrow. We must do it now. And so we must communicate, we must reach out, we must explain, we must set boundaries, we must make people understand when we need a break, when we need to recalibrate. We must put our needs out there, and we must be vulnerable. All right, we must also lead by example. When we choose not to lead with self-care, we dishonor God. And this is where we're ending. We dishonor ourselves and we dishonor our family. And our team usually end up with us together as a band of emotionally and mentally strained people. We often become stagnant, and we always constantly feel that we are not able to produce at the speed that we want and with the quality that we want. We're constantly tired. We constantly feel like we need rest. There is some emotional tension. And then there is really the inability, which is the issue, to enjoy the present. So stop and think right now. What is your current self-care need? Is it emotional well-being? Do you need mental clarity? Do you need peace, physical well-being? Do you need closure and acceptance? Is it that you need to resolve some issues and reconcile some decisions? Do you want vindication? Is it that you need new opportunities, personal growth? Focus. You need to focus more on the present. You need to become more aware. You need to spend quality time with your family. Do you need to have the willpower? Because the first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you're not going to stay where you are. And that is what we will do today. Do not react, act. That's what we're saying. Do not waste valuable emotion, act. Do not discuss, act. Your self-care is not non-negotiable. There are aspects that are non-negotiable, but self-care in itself is not non-negotiable. So you are to give people ultimatums, whether professionally or personally, when you really need to save yourself, when you have to fight for yourself, when you recognize that self is important, you are valuable, and you matter. And then you cannot respond either, you must act. You must recognize manipulation, you must recognize guilt trips, and you must more than ever recognize your value and what you take to the table and how you appear at the table and what you do when you're at the table. And you do not resuscitate. Again, you act. You cannot give life to what is dead. If you die tomorrow, the job might take a few minutes, if it does. And it cannot be. If you kill your passion, if you kill your dream, if you kill your purpose, you cannot resuscitate it because you cannot give life to what is dead. So I say, he says he placed before you life and death. Choose life. At every moment of life, we have an opportunity to choose joy. Let us focus on taking care of ourselves in all aspects. Let us set goals and establish them and carry them out with a sense of purpose and direction and internal motivation. Let us acquire a positive mindset. That means that we focus on gratitude and taking one step at a time. And let us let go of those things and those assignments and those callings that were not given to us and that are detrimental to our holistic well-being. Thank you so much.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Wow. You have really dived deep into what is self care. And you focus on all the different facets of what it is of true self care, mentally, physically, emotionally. And it's nice that you bring the spiritual component to it, where you went biblically talking about God and what the Bible say about that we should take care of ourselves in order for us to function and live this life. And that we take that time and just zoom in and hone in that space. There is so much to unpack, but that's why we have to do part two of this discussion, because I just want to talk about how you remind us that to say no. It's okay to say no. It's okay to set up boundaries, because we know that for our well being, that is so essential. And take that time out, that whatever is it that you need for that time. And I like how you asked the question, how are you showing up? Because how are you showing up is a reflection of how you feel. What statement are you making? What are you saying at the table when you get to the table? I appreciate you talking about the people around you. Who do you have around you when you are leading your corporation? Who are the people there that who you can trust, that you can delegate that assignment to and know that it will be completed for the greater good of the cause that there is? So there is so much thing you talk about that really help us to really zoom in, because self-care is so broad, and we all talk about self-care, but what self-care really is, and you dive so deeply into it to help us to understand all the different areas: physical activity, nourishing yourself, make sure you stay hydrated, and all that good stuff, doing that for yourself. So we appreciate you just giving us a full overview. You outline everything there to us, and it depends on us now. What are we going to do with that information that you provide us? Where do we start from? We can start today. We can look at ourselves and say, okay, well, I need to do some work in this area, or I need to do some work in this area, or I need to tweak things a little bit so I can live and I can walk in my purpose, that I can serve, because it's not only about me, but for me to serve, I got to be right. I got to take care of myself. I got to function on that level that I could serve others. Is that right?
Very much so. Because our life, when we understand our purpose and we work with our assignments, the only thing that we can do is serve others. When all is said and done, we can only be significant if we serve others. Success is a very limited concept in the sense that success is described by so many people in different ways. And success can be that we achieve the goal that we want to achieve. We buy the house that we want. We get the qualifications that we need. Good. What does that mean? It means that it is really related to self. So if we are to look at success in its broadest sense, it takes us back to self. But significance has nothing to do with self because it is other persons who add to our significance. And it is as we serve people that we become more and more significant. What does that mean? We empower persons, and so we add value to them. As they are lifted up, they carry us along because they show their appreciation in that way. So they just carry us along to say, okay, it is because of that smile, that hug, that source of encouragement, why I'm standing here today to tell a bigger story and to impact another life because life was poured into me from someone else. That is significance. And that, in fact, makes you successful in the truest sense.
I mean, and there is where the beauty is. There is where the beauty in everything that you said, because when we can make that impact and help others, lift others up in moments that they don't feel so great, and we can extend that hand to them in whatever area it is and create that feelings, because people never forget how you make them feel. Because when they feel that moment and they rise up and they feel uplifted, they feel motivated, now they can now transfer that to someone else, and that is how we make a change. It takes a ripple effect and helping others. And I so love how you hone in on that service. Continue today. Let's all try to serve each other, because that is how we can rise and lift each other up, and help us to keep that joy in our heart, that we can walk in our purpose, in our true purpose. We can able to achieve our calling, the reason why we're here in this universe. And when we can achieve that thing, God's purpose, and being served by others, it becomes so magical. And we can, when every at the end of the day, we can smile and say yes. Because when you hear the stories of other people's life that you have impacted, that is so meaningful. When you hear those stories, that you can come back and say, I feel great, because you, as a leadership certified leadership coach, I know there's so many stories that you can begin to tell us about people coming back to you and letting you know how you make them feel, how you guided them, how you help them to find their purpose. And now they're walking in that space of greatness. They have the level of authority to move in their space that they were designed to be in. Can you tell us just quickly one story in your practice, in your life, and amazing things that you're doing? We're going to be giving you your flowers. That once, I know there's so many stories, I don't want to put that burden on you, but one that can inspire us, that that make you say, wow. Can you give us one of those?
Ask the question again. You're muffled, a little muffled
Yeah,
there.
yeah. One story. I know there are many stories, but give us one that come to mind right away, that stood out for you, that give you an aha moment.
On my leadership journey? Yes, well,
I
on my
know so many.
leadership
I
journey,
give that to you. Yes.
one of the path that was taken and was given to me on my leadership journey is serving in a disadvantaged rural school community. And I remember that long before COVID came, I needed to bring these children and these communities into a framework of sharing their stories and giving their experiences out there. And I remember that I went ahead and I got internet into that community from sponsorship and from persons outside of the community. It was a difficult path to get there. And I remember that I had to appeal to a member of the community to have that pole erected on his home. It would bring a lot of heat, it would cost him a lot of money in relation to electricity bill and so on. But he agreed so that it could actually serve the community and not just my school. And persons could do their assignments, persons could do many things on that Wi-Fi connection and that internet connection. And that, for me, long before COVID. And so when COVID came, we were already champions of online and communication in those ways. And it also developed the skill sets of those children in the community and made them more aware and do so much better. Even when they left their community, they were standard bearers because they were disadvantaged, but that disadvantage became a strength because I tried to bring stuff into that community that were unusual, but in my quest to make them be on par with their urban counterparts, I brought the urban to them despite the context. And that for me is one of my moments because it not only helped the school itself, but it became something that made persons in that community become more intentional masters of their own destiny and sought to uplift themselves in many ways that they normally would not have thought of, because that gave them the idea and gave them brought the realization to them that nothing is impossible if you really want to do it.
Wow, that is so amazing because you've seen the results. You see, and I think those are the things that put a lot of joy in our heart when we just was a thought and we see just having other people believe in that vision and bringing it all together to fruition. It marvels you, and I truly believe that when we can accomplish that, it's truly an amazing moment. And I could see why you share that as your aha moment, because it is. And you also help others to believe that if you put your mind to something, there it is. There is
I, I
always.
want to I want to add to that too, that when the internet got into that community, and I think it was 6 years into my leadership in that particular community, I found that my numeracy results moved from 20%, and that's the national result I'm talking about. It's a national exam that these children take. So every school in Jamaica take that exam. And I found that my numeracy results moved from 20% to 80% in 5 years. And that my literacy results moved from 50% to 100% and maintained that for as long as maintained that from 2010 until 2018.
Wow.
And so it improved the achievement of my students who took their grade 4 and their grade 6 exams. It gradually and consistently kept going up. And so, along with the many other factors, that to me was a key factor because it brought the children out in the open, and it also made them be featured, and they were able to also share and compete with persons in other schools because they got the motivation and got the confidence because they were able to socialize from that point with persons outside and found that persons were just like them, and that they sometimes were as capable and even more capable than some of who they wanted to emulate because of their person and because they did not have enough comparison, enough room to make the right comparison. And so it improved them socially as well as academically.
I mean, that's really joy. That's really, really joy, because giving that to someone, the kids, the experience, how they felt, and could have seen what a joy, and how they can compete even better. That there is so much within themselves that can. Everyone was. I'm sure everyone was so marveled at every single thing that happened in those moments and leading up, and what the advantage was, and the possibilities in those moments, and just for,
Absolutely.
but just the kids to experience that level of joy and happiness is truly amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's just a joy. I mean, what you do, Dr. Marcy, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's truly amazing. And you're helping the world. You're creating such an impact globally, lifting others up, giving us hope and optimism, and helping us really to help us as with our bodies, self-care, to live strong, live healthy, be confident, walk in our purpose. I mean, you're doing it all, and all the amazing things you're doing that we didn't really get to, which we're gonna have part two with you, with all your writing, the books that you talk a little bit about your chat with Dr. Janice Brooks. That seemed to be
Good.
amazing.
Yes, Dr. Janice Brooks has a fireside chat, and we actually bring experts onto that fireside chat. Dr. Janice, she started it 3 years ago. She just did her anniversary. I joined her last year, and she actually brings, we look at many different topics, and we bring experts in to share and to empower and to build lives and to change lives also. We have added to that fireside chat another space that is called Go Higher. And so it takes us onto an audio live on Tuesday. So tomorrow we'll be talking about leading from the inside out. And on a Friday, we have our Lunch and Learn, where we continue with an added colleague that is Dr. Howell, a master relationship coach. On that fireside chat, which is usually on a Tuesday, we look at every subject and every topic that you can think of. Tomorrow night, we will be looking at it. It happens at 8 o'clock Eastern Time and 7 o'clock Caribbean time. What we'll be looking at tomorrow is the power of the mind, the positive power of the mind. And so we are going to be working tomorrow and looking at power of the mind. It's a part 2 series. We did a part 1, someone has asked. So we are doing it every Tuesday. And we look at topics, we look at empowering people, we look at finance, we look at self-care also, we look at relationships topics, we look at aspects of the law and so many things. And we are able to give that type of information and empowerment to people.
That's amazing. That is really truly amazing, because we need it,
Sure.
especially a moment and time like this that we are in this world. We need everything that's going to support us, that's going to keep us lifted up, keep us moving forward, and help us to stay grounded spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and have a level of joy within us.
Very much so. And as
Yeah,
coaches, we have our own space too as coaches.
true.
Dr. Janice Brooks is a strategic life coach. She is also a temperament coach, and she's part of the John Maxwell leadership and coaching team. For me, I am a Christian leadership life coach certified, and I really and truly center my practice as a life coach and a Christian leadership coach on helping Christian leaders, meaning leaders that are Christians in a professional space, harness their superpower so they are able to overcome the challenges of working in a professional space and not just survive, strive. And so I look at issues that are not necessarily in textbooks. So I look at the pain of loss, how you lead while you experience loss, misunderstanding motivation, misunderstanding resilience as a leader. And I look at those aspects because those are aspects that are taken for granted, they are overlooked. We look at how we misunderstand leadership based on the definitions that are given to us, and how we misunderstand delegation also. I look at leadership pains that are not necessarily put down. How do you respond when, as a leader, you have unexpected resignations and these people take other people with them? How do you deal with that pain of carrying the other people's burden in your organization? Persons who themselves maybe have suffered loss or disappointment. I look at those things that persons don't look at. How do you, as a leader, deal with times when you have to make crucial decisions and those who are to make those decisions with you are silent? How do you maneuver that? How you get persons who are low performing to improve their performance? Those of things are what I look at in my practice and guide executive and also beginning leaders and other career professionals to function in their jobs. I look at how you gauge lesson planning, how you look at your budgeting, your personal action plan, your school improvement plan, your organizational plan if you're not in an educational industry. I look at how you reward and recognize people because, for example, each person in any organization has their own motivation language. And so you might be giving someone recognition who just wants control power. That person will continue to be disgruntled because they do not want rewards or recognition. They want to be given a position of power. And so if you do not understand those types of motivation and put motivation in a broad and generic framework, you are likely to still have issues and still have persons becoming disengaged and disgruntled in your workspace. And then we have, as our partner in that team of workers, there are three of us. Dr. Sefer Howell is an author too, and he is a relationship coach. He deals with men who want to maneuver their relationships professionally and personally and the different types. He is also a leadership coach. All of us are leadership coach, but we focus on different aspects of leadership. And we come together, we work separately, and we also combine our efforts as we function in Go Higher. We do corporate training, and we also do one-on-one coaching, and we do group coaching. We offer masterclass and we do seminars also.
Wow, that is truly, truly amazing. Congratulations to you and Mr. Powell and everything you guys are doing together with Dr. Janice Brooks. I mean, you guys are so amazing because you're helping all of us to know that there is more. And you're able to handle things in a space where even if people does not understand it, you have to watch your level of motivation come in with that you're surrounded by and know how to handle all of that. So I mean, it's so beautiful. We have to, you have to be our returning guest because there is so much for us to talk about. There is so much value you've brought to us this evening, and there is so much more to say. for you to unpack and just help all of us to understand that with life there are so many things that is important for all of us, and there is information out there that we can receive that can help us and guide us on this journey. What are your last words for us in this session here? Because there are going to be more sessions with you and us. That you would tell. What is one thing you would tell all of us today as we leave this moment?
What I want to say, and it is very important, we live life once. When we are born, God gives us unique gifts, He gives us abilities. The year in which we are born, the family in which we are born, the context in which we are born, the time in which we are born, it's not an error, it's not a mistake. And so when you have come through, He gives you a story and He gives you experiences that you must share with persons who need those experiences, need that unique trial or session or crisis or adversity or success that you have gone through. And they need you, specifically you, to say to them in the way that they must interpret it. And so things are poured into us for us to be just vessels. And what is that vessel that we are? We are vessels of connection. We are vessels of hope. We are vessels of courage. We are vessels of overcoming. And as a vessel, we know that we bring that message, that hope, that overcoming, that connection, that peace, that encouragement, that strength to someone. And it is very important that we must understand
That is so beautifully said, because having the strength, the courage, and know who we are and why we are here. And it's such a beauty when we can function on all those levels as you talk about. I know you're frozen a little bit, but walking our true purpose and being of service to others is the true and is the ultimate beauty of being here and living this life and walking on our purpose. To all the viewers that join us today live, we just want to thank you for taking your time, for being here with us. And those of you who is going to catch us on the replay, thank you for being here with us and listening to such a powerful presentation talking about self-care, which all of us can look at all the areas in our lives and see which area that I can do a little bit more in, stopping, pausing, saying no when it needs to be so, setting up our boundaries, which is very important, and so that we can fill ourselves up and that we can serve others with excellence and beauty. So thank all of you. And don't forget to nourish yourself. Don't forget that. And just don't forget your self-talk matters. How beautiful you are. How you're special. Don't forget to do your journaling. And don't forget, live life. Walk in your purpose. And set those great intentions so you can move forward, living life joyously. Well, I think Dr. Marcy's signal, her bandwidth there is off. And Karen, I know you're working on another assignment, but much love to you as well. We miss you here this evening. And to Tommy Thompson, it's always a joy that you can share these moments with us and help us with the technical aspect of this show. So we just want to thank all of you for being here, and just know that we love you and take good care of yourself. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Marcy.